morning. Welcome to another midweek edition of your Breakfast from Leadership Television inside Nigeria. My name is Winifred Ubebo, your host on the program. And today we have papers for review, national papers, and incidentally, they all have one leading story as their main cover. Of course, it's no longer news. President Bola Tinubu declared state of emergency in Rivers State yesterday in a broadcast while suspending the governor, the deputy, and the State House of Assembly lawmakers. Just before we go and look at the headline stories, other covers, let's listen to President Bola Tinubu's speech yesterday while declaring state of emergency in Rivers State.
Fellow Nigerians, I feel greatly disturbed at the tone we have come to regarding the political crisis in Rivers State. Like many of you, I have watched with concern the development with hope that the parties involved will allow good sense to prevail at the soonest. But all that hope borne out without any solution to the crisis. With the crisis persisting, there's no way democratic governance, which we all fought and worked for over the years, can thrive in a way that will redound to the benefit of the good people of the state. The state has been at a standstill since the crisis started, with the good people of the state not being able to have access to the dividend of democracy. Also, it is public knowledge that the governor of Rivers State, for unjustifiable reasons, demolished the House of Assembly of the state as far back as 13th December 2023, and as up till now, 14 months after, now rebuilt the same. I have made personal interventions between the contending parties for a peaceful resolution of this crisis, but my efforts have been largely political situation in Rivers State, and the governor and deputy governor of Rivers State having failed to make a request to me as president to issue this proclamation as required by Section 305, Paragraph 5 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, it has become inevitably compelling for me to invoke the provision of the Section 305 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State with effect from today, 18th March, year 2025, and I so do. By this declaration, the governor of Rivers State, Mr. Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, Mrs. Ngozi Odu, and all elected members of the House of Assembly state are hereby suspended for an initial period of 6 months. In the meantime, I hereby nominate Vice Admiral Eboket Ibas, retired, as administrator to take charge of the affairs of the state and the interests of the good people of Rivers State. For the avoidance of doubt, this declaration does not affect the judicial arm of Rivers State, which shall continue to function in accordance with their constitutional mandate. The administrator will not make any new laws. He will, however, be free to formulate regulations and may be found necessary to do his job, but such regulations will need to be considered and approved by the Federal Executive Council.
Yes, that was President Bola Tinubu declaring a state of emergency in Rivers State yesterday in a state broadcast. However, this has not gone down well with some sections of Nigerians, with MBA lawyers and even the opposition saying that it's an aberration that President Bola Tinubu erred by removing Fubara deputy and the lawmakers. And is on that note, we'll move over to leadership. Of course, is leadership's leading story. Let's look at the timeline when the controversies, crisis began to dog the Rivers State government. Leadership says March 2025, lawmakers serve Fubara and his deputy impeachment notice. In January 2024, two speakers of Rivers Assembly emerged. December 2023, Fubara and Wike signed peace deal. December 2023, Fubara demolished Rivers State Assembly complex. October 2023, lawmakers attempted to impeach Fubara. And other states of emergency cases in 22 years. This is something that is also in some of the papers we have for review this morning. 2013, Jonathan declared state of emergency in Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe states. However, it will be recalled that the governor, the deputy, and even the state House of Assembly under Jonathan were not suspended. They were still allowed to continue their duties because in 2024, the Supreme Court had actually declared former President Olusegun Obasanjo's state of the emergency in Plateau State as an aberration because 2006, Obasanjo also declared state of emergency in Ekiti. In 2004, Obasanjo also declared state of emergency in Plateau, which Supreme Court later ruled on that it was an aberration. That's the timeline on leadership. Leading story this Wednesday. Underneath the leading story, state of emergency, Tinubu suspends Fubara, deputy Rivers lawmakers for 6 months. Dissolves all elected offices, nominates Ibok Ete Ibas as sole administrator. Or lawyer Sans article that speak. Leading story on leadership newspaper today. And incidentally, the story gracing the cover of the other papers we have on our menu. Still on leadership newspaper, federal government earmarks 700 billion naira to tackle tuberculosis, malaria, HIV, AIDS. Finally rest past Tinubu's tax reform bills. Natasha takes sexual harassment case to BBC. Israeli strikes kill 413 in Gaza. This story is run on page 7 of leadership. And towards the masthead, we have Niger residents pay cash to escape abduction. Niger residents pay cash to escape abduction. The story is on page 7 of leadership this Wednesday. And on the business bus, we have oil workers threaten nationwide strike over expatriate quota violation. Above the masthead, you are a nose maker. Kaduna Assembly blast El-Rufai, the immediate past governor of the state. PDP kicks over Secretariat land revocation. Of course, we carried the news. The news was reported yesterday that the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, has revoked over 4,000 lands, among which is the PDP Secretariat. And in response today, PDP kicks over Secretariat land revocation. The story runs on page 29 of leadership. Is on that note, we move to the page 3 of leadership, where we have our permanent fixture, our stand. Today's stand is on rebasing gimmicks. What is the point? Of course, the National Bureau of Statistics actually came up with a inflation rate, a new inflation rate, that inflation has dropped to 24.5%, as we said by the government. That is from 34.8% to 24.5%. So that is what today's stand is based on. And leadership stand says the rebased CPI is just a tiny piece of Nigeria's larger economic puzzle. While it may be a positive step in the right direction, the government must take concrete action to address its citizens' deep-seated challenges. In suggesting this policy option, we are persuaded to argue that the process must be devoid of political expediency, because there is nothing as self-defeatist as playing games with the welfare of the people. In the final analysis, the stark reality will always be glaring. All these rebasing gimmicks are like drowning one's problem in alcohol. Soon it will be known to be a waste of time. Of course, even with this rebasing of inflation now down to 24.5, it doesn't take away the fact that foodstuffs and other commodities and other services, goods and services, is still high up there when you go to the market. From there, we move to the back page of the paper, where we have Wednesday column with Olufunke Barua. Today's Wednesday column, she's writing on Then They Came for Ushe. Then they came for Ushe. Of course, there's a saying that they came for this, the people refused to speak, and then they finally came for us. That is where today's column is taking its inference from. In quote, "Our democracy, albeit imperfect, and freedom are perhaps the only luxuries that Nigerians have, and they must be guided by all means necessary." This no longer story. Ushe is the youth corper who said described President Bola Tinubu as a terrible president. Although a new video emerged that has since apologized for that utterance. Then they came for Ushe. Before we leave that column, we also go over to Ghana Must Go. Ghana Must Go says over 800 Ebonyi indigents displaced in Lagos village. That's the news. And Ghana Must Go ask, they want to capture Lagos? That's the question you find answers to. As we log into www.leadership.ng to read more on today's stories. From leadership, we move over to the next paper we have on our menu, and that is The Guardian. The Guardian is looking at the cost of the pipeline explosion witnessed yesterday in Rivers, and that is the main story. It says Rivers pipeline explosion may cost $35.3 million lost daily as state of emergency begins. Of course, it was reported yesterday that 2 pipelines were bombed, in Rivers State, and one of them a major oil pipeline. The story runs on page 6, and today's Guardian is looking at the impact, the effect of that bomb explosion, which the Guardian says it will cost $35.3 million lost daily to the nation as state of emergency begins. The story runs on page 6 of the Guardian. The Guardian is looking at the economic loss of those pipelines yesterday. Underneath that, PDP, the NWC kicks as Wike revokes Wadata Plaza new secretariat floods. Senate braces for backlash as social media breeze, says second reading. Osun APC warns governors, ministers to stop demarketing party for Adeleke. Osun APC warns governors, ministers to stop demarketing party for Adeleke. Over 34 million citizens hungry require urgent help, says ECOWAS. Delivering affordable electricity beyond pledges and declarations. This is the editorial on today's The Guardian newspaper. Delivering affordable electricity beyond pledges and declarations. Of course, trending video has President Bola Tinubu doing his campaign. Period said that within 6 months he'll be able to fix electricity, and if he doesn't do that, nobody should vote him in. And that is where this editorial is coming from. Delivering affordable electricity beyond pledges and declarations. Pegansan accuses federal government of aiding 11,000 Indians to secure Nigerian jobs. Pegansan accuses federal government of aiding 11,000 Indians to secure Nigerian jobs. That is also the story we have on the business bus of leadership, which I read earlier. Oil workers threaten nationwide strike over expatriate quota violation. From that, we move to the stories just beneath the masthead of the Guardian. Dangote Cement, salt, sugar businesses lose 423 billion naira to naira crisis. Weak naira pushes federal government states allocation to 15.2 trillion naira amid hunger. EFCC blames corrupt politicians, fraudsters for nation's bad image abroad. On that note, we conclude review upon headline stories on the Guardian this midweek edition of Inside Nigeria. Don't forget to log into the website of The Guardian for continuation of these headline stories. Let's move over to the Punch newspaper to read more on the emergency rule in Rivers State. The Punch says emergency rule, soldiers, tanks move into Rivers government house. NBA lawyer says suspensions illegal. PDP Labour Party Atiku Pandef slam Tinubu. National Assembly to debate President state of emergency today. Fubara blames pro-Wike lawmakers. Ibas takes over. Wike versus Fubara. Governor Assembly members turbulent road to suspension. It's also the same timeline we had in leadership's cover story. It says Wike versus Fubara. Governor Assembly members turbulent road to suspension. Still on the Punch newspaper, Libya to deport over 170 Nigerians. We have them already. There's a picture we have on the cover of the Punch, because these are illegal immigrants. Beneath that, 49 mobile accused of blocking subscribers from switching operators. Military burns Boko Haram hideouts. Police arrest drug suppliers. National Assembly probes Cameroon's alleged encroachment on Nigerian islands. Just beside the masthead of the Punch, finally, reps passed Tinubu for tax bills. Above the masthead, federal government deducts states 800 billion naira allocations to pay foreign debt. Federal government deducts states 800 billion naira allocations to pay foreign debt. Attacks on discos, Nigerian military is lawless. The story continues on page 22 of the Punch. Attacks on discos, Nigerian military is lawless. Fuel imports, NNPCL loses bid to stop Dangote's 100 billion naira suit. That concludes review of front headline stories on the Punch newspaper this Wednesday. For more, log on to the website of the Punch to read more stories. From the Punch, we move over to the next paper we have on our menu, and that is Nigerian Tribune. Let's see what Nigerian Tribune has as its cover story. Nigerian Tribune, still on emergency rule in Rivers State. It says Tinubu puts Rivers under emergency rule. Suspends governor, deputy lawmakers for 6 initial months. Nominates retired Vice Admiral Ibas as administrator. State judiciary remains in place. Publishes declaration in Federal Gazette. Forwards copy to National Assembly. Federal government can't evade responsibility for chaos, coming from former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. $15 billion petrol union case, Attorney General steps in. $15 billion petrol union case, Attorney General steps in. Ogun government sets March 31 deadline for headers registration. Ogun government sets March 31 deadline for headers registration. UBA launches Afrigo card to revolutionize domestic payments. Explosions rock Trans-Niger pipeline in Rivers. Police arrest 2. Explosions rock Trans-Niger pipeline in Rivers. Police arrest 2. Leading story today on Nigerian Tribune. Of course, the sole administrator Tinubu appointed to take over Rivers State. There's a little bit about him on Nigerian Tribune. Who is Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, retired? He says he was born on September 27, 1960 at Nko, Cross River State. He joined Nigerian military in 1979, rose to become Chief of Naval Staff between 2015 and 2021. That is 6 years. And you also have the picture of the sole administrator underneath that story. PDP says above the masthead of Nigerian Tribune, Tinubu lacks powers to suspend elected governor. PDP rejects emergency rule in Rivers, wants resistance to assault on democracy. PDP wants resistance to assault on democracy. Senate probes annexation of Nigerian mangrove islands, 2,560 oil wells by Cameroon. Leading story on the cover of Nigerian Tribune this Wednesday, March 19, 2025. From Nigerian Tribune, we move over to the next paper we have on our menu, which incidentally is the last paper we have on our menu this Wednesday, and that is Vanguard. Vanguard says tension as Tinubu declares state of emergency in Rivers, appoints Vice Admiral Ibas as administrator, suspends Fubara Odu lawmakers for 6 months. Rivers joins Plateau, Ekiti, Borno, Yobe, Adamawa as emergency rule states. South leaders pandemic flee emergency rule in Rivers. Explosions rock Trans-Niger pipeline, another facility at Onega. Clickers to that leading story on tension on Rivers State emergency rule. We have the picture of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in a state broadcast yesterday captured. We have Fubara at Ibas in. Beneath that, we have Wike revokes land housing PDP's new national secretariat complex. Revocation attempts to silence opposition PDP. And in sports, Cherry's riot act to Super Eagles bars visitors from camp. PDP says Tinubu lacks powers to suspend a governor. Federal government confirms 400,000 tuberculosis cases in 2024. That takes us to stories above the masthead of Vanguard. Dangote meets Adun on Naira for crude B business environment. The story is on page 20 of Vanguard this Wednesday. Lawyers article judge orders fourth emergency rule declaration. Bill mandating Facebook bloggers orders to have offices in Nigeria passes second reading in Senate. Bill mandating Facebook bloggers orders to have offices in Nigeria passes second reading in Senate. Delta Governor, oil ministers orders for Vanguard's local content conference in Warri today. That brings to a close the review of front headline stories on Vanguard this Wednesday. Don't forget to log into the website of Vanguard to read more on these headline stories. Well, viewers, we've come to the end of today's Inside Nigeria midweek edition of the show. My name is Winifred Gbebo. Don't forget to join us same time, same station for another fresh edition of the program tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.
Get ready for the Leadership Awards and Conference 2024. Join us as we celebrate excellence across various fields, honoring those who've made remarkable impacts. Award categories include Person of the Year, Quinquennial Award for Governance and Infrastructure, Governors of the Year, Business Person of the Year, and many more. Stay updated by following us on social media and visiting our website, leadership.ng. For sponsorship and inquiries, contact us today. Leadership Award and Conference 2024, celebrating excellence, inspiring the